Alright, you guys, welcome back. Thug Life Kingdom. The heaven under God's love is forever and ever. I'm Raquel. Always remember, first and foremost, that God loves you no matter what. He tells you these things because He loves you. And second, like, share, subscribe. Alright, so I'm going to get right into this. You are not going to be able to become all you can be, all who God has called you to be, until you get away from your family. All right, again, you are not going to be able to become all who God has called you to be, created you to be, until you get away from your family. All right, and God gave me a couple examples, and I'm just going to break it down. And if this message applies to you, I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to relate to one of these characters. But it is a biblical proven fact that you have to get away from your family to become all who God has called you to be. And that first getaway where God called Abraham and told him to get out of his father's land and travel to the place that God had for him, the promised land, right? And we know that what God begins to say to me, that promised land, right, is the place we know that where Abraham received everything that God had for him. He was blessed and abundant. He wasn't only supposed to just take, his wife and kid. He didn't have kids, but he took his servants. But he also took Lot. That's a whole nother story. That's not for this message. But what God began to say to me is Abraham had to leave his father's country because Abraham didn't have the same mindset as them. Abraham was counted righteous because he believed God. And the reason why some of you are struggling, the reason why some of you need to skip that family reunion, I don't care how good the potato salad is popping, if it got raisins in it or not, you feel me? How good the barbecue sauce is, I don't care how good the greens are, I don't care how popping Christmas be with the gifts. You cannot stay around your family because they just don't believe God. They don't believe God how you believe God. And because you believe God the way that you do, it's going to keep interfering with your mind. It's going to allow doubt to creep in. All the things that you've been trying to work out of your life and what God is trying to do, your family is just going to birth that unbelief in you. So you got to get around people, like get around your kind, right? Get around a group of people that's going to believe God for you, with you the same way as you. All right, remember, and ultimately God will bring those people, and He will lead and show you where to go to find them, right? Because remember, Abraham didn't know where he was going, but God led and showed him. So for some of you, God is just going to lead and show you where to go amongst people, to who to be around, to believe God the way that you believe God. Because if you continue to stay around your family, I'm telling you, they're going to kill your dreams and everything that God has for you. The second person that God gave me was Joseph, right? For some of you, and this may apply all aspects, right? All three of these characters. For Joseph, he had to leave his father's house because no matter what they told him, they wasn't going to believe him anyway. Even though Joseph had the dreams, had the answers, all of that, they still were hell-bent on not believing him. And so even though Joseph got to Egypt the way he did was messed up, I believe that what God was telling me, that God was going to send Joseph to Egypt regardless, all right? It's just a messed up way he got there. Because Joseph had to get there. Hold on, somebody's coming, so I'm going to just keep walking. Joseph had to get there in order to save his family. So some of you are just going to have to leave your family just for the simple fact to save them, right? You are just going to have to depart and allow God to do whatever it is that He wants to do in your life. And ultimately, when you get to that place of promise, when you get to your promised place, right, it's going to open up an avenue for you to go back and save your family, because that's what they need. They're going to have to see you. You're going to have to make it to the palace in order to save your family. Stop trying to save them right now. There's nothing you can do to save them. It's nothing, but this is God ordained. This is His design for you to get you to move. So you got to get to Egypt. You got to get to your palace. You gotta move on in order to save them. If you love your family and God told you you're a Joseph, then keep moving, keep it moving, because ultimately you're going to be able to come back for them and save them, but you got to get to the place that God is showing you and calling you to be. And if you don't move, trust me, just like Joseph, you're going to get there in a messed up way, and God doesn't want that for you. All right, the third person he showed me was David. Where David, once again, almost like a somewhat like Joseph, no matter what he did, he wasn't going to be accepted by his family. And they're not even, so if you're a David, your family's not even going to be able to recognize that you're a king or a queen. They don't even have the eyes to see it, right? You know, you may feel like the outcast, the black sheep, but it's cool. God has placed you in that situation for a reason, because once again, you are set for the palace. You are, your fullness is set for the palace. It's set for greater. And unfortunately with David, he didn't go back and save his family, okay? So for the ones that are calling Davids the kings out there, I hear this, especially for the guys, it's time for you to leave, to go out, travel, go start your own family, go get your own wife, go get your own home, and do what you need to do. Your family has taken you as far as you can go. They're going to keep talking about you. They're not going to accept you. And ultimately, when we keep running back to our families, it's just going to keep opening up wounds that God is trying to heal. It's going to keep you frustrated. It's just going to keep you from everything that God has for you, your promised land, your palace, and your castle, because you're called as a king or a queen, right? And so and we know ultimately with Jesus could not do what he was called to do, because he had to get away from his family. Remember, Jesus said a prophet is without honor everywhere but his hometown. His family didn't believe who he was. He had to dip. You know, he only could do but so much, but once he got away from them, he was able to do more. And a lot of that is just tied to the fact that they don't have eyes to see you right. They're not going to receive you right. They're not going to believe you. But ultimately, you know, get to a place where you just accept it, because that's God's way of pushing you into your purpose. That's God's way of telling you, yo, go get your spouse. That's God's way of telling you, like, yeah, how your family did things with kids was wrong. How your family did vacations, yeah, nah, he wants better for you. You got to get away from that. There's no need to try to hold on, skip those. I don't care. Like I said, it's summer, it's nice. Skip that family reunion. It's time to move on. You are not going to become all who God has called you to be if you don't get away from your family. You can love them from a distance. You can pray for them from a distance. But if you want to receive everything that God has for you, you better get yourself up and get away from them. Get out of that mindset. You no longer have the mindset of them. You no longer have the ways of them. You no longer walk like them, talk like them, act like them. But praise be to God, he's going to bring you to people who you can relate to. He's going to bring you to your significant other. He's going to show you how to raise your kids, how that your family and mom think that you shouldn't be raising them, all right? But you got to get away from your family, man. Real talk. You got to get, the word of the Lord is get away from your family, because ultimately to get out of their land is to get out. It's a mindset. You no longer have the mindset of them. God has touched you. He's taken a hold of your life. It's a wrap. You're not going to be able to relate to them. But ultimately, for some of you, you're going to be like a Joseph, where you're going to be able to go back and save them. You're going to be like an Abraham, where, you know, I don't know, like he might let you go back and save them, he might not, but you have other people to reach outside of them. Or you might just be like a David, where he's like, nah, I'm calling you out unto me to start your own thing and do your own thing. And, you know, we never heard about David's family again. All right. And so that's it. I'm not making this video long, but I needed to share this. Man, get away from your family. Like, they're just pouring salt in wounds, opening up more hurt, more pain. Get away from them. Real talk. So ultimately, I know this may be a hard message, but like I always tell you guys, from first and foremost, the reason why God discloses this stuff is because he loves you. He loves you more than them, and he knows what's best for you. He knows what he has in store for you. He knows what you have what was planned for you, right? But you keep praying for them, but you got to keep it moving and get away from them. Get your own cookout, make your own potato salad with raisins. I ain't coming if you do, but you know. So that's it. Remember that God loves you. And I'm not on camera because it's hot and I'm sweaty. And maybe next time we'll go find this DoubleTree. All right, you guys, I love you. Remember, God loves you. Until next time.